everybody, I'm Tim Ward and welcome back to Garden Sense. Well, folks, I've been working outside a lot the last couple of days. I've gotten some sun on my face, and I know that you guys have been working pretty hard too because of all the emails that I've gotten the past week. Well, we selected 3 emails to address this week, so buckle up everybody, let's jump right in. The first question for today is from Art. Hi Tim, we have an irrigation system in our backyard that is very shaded. Over the past week, we have been inundated with mushrooms. What is causing this, and what is the best way to get rid of them? So mushrooms are not an indicator that anything is wrong. What it actually means is that A, you have a lot of organic matter in your soil, which is a good thing, and B, it also means that there's a lot of moisture right now, and because of the irrigation system, that's probably just been running maybe a little bit more than the lawn needs, and so that excess organic matter coupled with the water is creating the mushrooms. Now, how to get rid of them? Well, the first thing you can do is actually, kind of back off on the watering a little bit. It's in the shade, and so obviously the water is not evaporating off as much, and so it's probably just being overwatered. That area is being overwatered a little bit. The other thing you can actually do is put down some turf truss. Turf truss has a lot of nitrogen, and nitrogen actually speeds up the decomposition of organic material. It also helps speed up the natural process of the mushrooms breaking down. So actually using a high nitrogen fertilizer like turf truss are going to help those mushrooms disappear a little bit quicker. The third and final thing that you really want to consider would be to dethatch your lawn. If you're able to dethatch your lawn, you're actually going to be removing a lot of that thatch, which is just going to turn into additional organic material for the soil. So removing some of that organic material is also going to help get rid of those mushrooms. The second question is from John. Tim, I recently planted some green giant arborvitae and some Andromeda mountain fire shrubs on my property in New Jersey. I would appreciate your advice in what I should do to make these plants grow and thrive. Okay, so these are great questions. For the green giants, I would absolutely recommend that you use Plant Trust. Plant Trust is formulated with high nitrogen, and that's really going to help the foliage, of those green giants and keep them green. For the fire bushes, I would actually recommend Garden Trust. When fire bushes are in full bloom, they are really, really impressive shrubs. And Garden Trust is formulated to help with the bloom. So you definitely want to use Garden Trust for those fire bushes. Then for both plants, I would actually make sure that I am using Kickstart regularly. Now, because they've just been planted, you want to make sure you're using Kickstart pretty regularly, probably once a week, just to make sure that those roots get established. And once they do, you can back off and Kickstart once a month with any of your trees and shrubs. You're going to be okay as long as they stay healthy. So for the green giants, make sure you use Plant Trust. For the fire shrubs, make sure that you use Garden Trust, and both of those plants should get Kickstart regularly. All 3 of those products are available over at rosensonline.com. The final question for today is from Nathan. Tim, I had a question about this evergreen. It has turned more brown every week. I believe it's either from the cold winter or it has mites. Any thoughts? All right, so it is entirely possible that winter damage is causing the browning. You can also get it from insects. You can definitely get it from lack of water. It could also have a disease. My gut is going to go with an insect problem, and it could certainly be mites. Now, you didn't mention if you've inspected the bush at all and that you've seen any insect activity, so in lieu of that information, I would still lean more towards an insect problem. And the product that I'd recommend you use is Monterey's Mite and Insect Control. It's available over at Rosens Online, and that'll definitely help clear up any problems from an insect perspective. Now, I would also make sure that you're using something like Kickstart to strengthen the root system and allow that that bush to really take in more nutrition, which should help it green up a little bit more. I don't know if you've fertilized it, but you're going to want to use Plant Trust as a fertilizer as well. So definitely use Kickstart try the mite and insect control. And if you have not fertilized it, I would definitely recommend putting down some plant trust. And again, let's use Kickstart a couple of times over the next few weeks, which would actually allow that bush to take in more of the nitrogen found in plant trust to help it keep it green. If that doesn't solve the problem in a couple of weeks and it doesn't look like it's getting healthier, reach back out to us. We can talk a little bit more. It is entirely possible that this is actually a disease, and we got some products that could help fight that. All right, everybody, just a couple final thoughts before we wrap up this week's video podcast. Folks, I've got good news. We have plant trust, and the missing 10M turf trust bags are back in stock. So head over to Rosen's online and you can pick up your plant trust, and you can choose from any of the turf trust fertilizer options that we have, because they are all in stock right now. Also, I want to remind everybody that, hey, June 15th is when we want to typically start looking at our fertilizer and getting down our second application of turf truss. June 15th was 2 days ago. So if you haven't already done so, head over to Rosen's online and pick up a couple of bags of turf truss fertilizer. Get those down, because now is the time where we need to give the lawn our second feeding to keep it strong and healthy all through those summer months. Also want to remind everyone about Kickstart. Obviously, I've talked about it a couple of times already on the program, but I just want to reiterate how important it is, especially as we head into summer. The heat is going to get pretty intense. Typically, it tends to rain a little bit less, and so your plants, your trees, your shrubs, your gardens, even your potted plants are really going to need everything that it can possibly get to, maintain its health, and Kickstart is a great tool in that battle. So head over to rosensonline.com and pick up a couple of bottles or even a case of Kickstart. It's an organic product. You can't use it enough, and it's really, really going to help out all of your plants. Folks, as always, I want to thank you for sending in your emails. Your emails are what make this video podcast each and every week, so keep them coming. If you do have questions that you need some help with, make sure you send them directly to me, Tim, at rosensonline.com. Folks, thank you so much for the time that you devote to this video podcast each and every week, and we love the positive feedback that we get from you. It really does mean a lot. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the week. God bless.